This is Diana Sullivan in Austin, Texas. This is a very flat, anti-roll, thick edging, and it's been around a long time. I'm not sure what to call it. I think I'll call it a cluster edging. I was really pleased with this number of stitches and rows because it doesn't stretch or gather the edge. You knit your piece and then add this later. Now, if you need a bigger edge that'll go around a circle, if you have a curved edge, then I've got a variation that's a little bigger. Let's get started. I've knitted a little sample that I'm going to edge down the side here, and I'll set that aside while I get my little start on this. I'm using the garment tension and I'm bringing out just 3 needles. Those 3 needles I'm going to E-wrap onto. And thread my machine. Carriage is over on the right. Now I'm going to take the edge of my little sample, put the wrong side toward me, and pick up along here. What I'm going to pick up is pretty much the first 3 spots, 1 stitch from the edge. So there are actually 2 loops on top of my tool. Now, when I look at that, you'll notice the way the stitches form inside. There's a parenthesis going this way, curved like that, and then there's a parenthesis going that way. If you pay attention to that curve, like I'm getting the ones that curve like a left parenthesis, then you will get in the same row. And I'm just putting that on the next 3 needles. Now I'm going to knit 4 rows. As soon as I get a little bit of an edge on, I'm bringing the needles back out to hold just to help it, and I'm putting a weight on at least part of it. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4. Now this is very simple. These 3 needles here are going to be moved to the left onto those 3 needles. And I'm going to take the edge of my knitting and pick up the next 3 stitches. Now, each of these spots is a row, and I want to skip the first spot and get the next 3. That seems to result in an absolutely perfect amount of knitting to go along with the length of the edge, so that the edge doesn't pucker and it doesn't spread. And I knit 4 rows. Then I take these 3 needles, pick up their stitches, put them on the tool, move them back to A position, and put them on the other 3 stitches. Then I go, unroll my edge, and once again, sometimes it takes me a couple jabs to find my place, but I skip this hole and get the next 3 and put those on the next 3 needles. Once again, I knit 4 rows. Now, you may notice that I'm working my way leftward on the machine, and consequently, I'm moving the camera a little so you can still see because I'm moving that way. But once again, take these 3 stitches, put them on the tool, put their needles out of work, plunk them on top of the other 3 stitches, unroll your edge, find your next spots, 1, 2, 3, nope, move over by 1. These 3. Skip this hole and get the next 3. Put those on these 3 needles and knit 4 rows. Now after you've done even a couple, you'll be curious and you'll want to see what's going on the other side. Look how great that looks. So we have a little bit more to do to get down our edge. I've moved the camera again so that you won't have trouble seeing the last little bit. Unroll my edge and get my 3 spots. When you get to the end, you're going to put this group of stitches on this group, and then just bind off those 3. I'll bind them off manually. I'm going to do it with loose loops. Now, here's my finished edging, and I just have to say how pleased I am at how much this flattens out the work. And it really wasn't something that I went and blocked in between takes. This is it. It's already pretty flat and straight. Now, I very often do curved edges. I very often do shawls or round blankets. So let's also look at the one that is a little bit bigger, and we'll go around a curved edge for you. There's only one difference with this variation, and it's going to be the number of rows. With the first one that was flat and straight and really good for a straight edge where I didn't want any puckering or ruffling, I did 4 rows. For this one, I'm going to do 6 rows, and since my edge is straight, it's going to ruffle. Not a lot, but it'll certainly ruffle enough to accommodate a rounded edge. So, same thing, I'm picking up stitches on the second 3 needles, and I'm knitting across. Since I really haven't got any kind of edge on here, bringing them out to hold and giving it a little help, and then putting a weight on. So that's 2 rows, 3, 4, 5, 6. Take these 3 stitches, put them on these 3 stitches. Those rightmost needles are now out of work. Unroll my edge, pick up my next 3 spots, but I want to be sure and skip one, and I didn't skip one. It very often does take me a couple tries to get my tool right where I want it. Played around with this. I tried moving the left stitches to the right, but I didn't like that one as well. And I'm going to bind this one off too. Double them up. Hand knit them through with big loops. It's only 3 stitches. I don't really need to go to a lot of trouble measuring those loops. And I'll bind this one off. So if this one gave me a more flared edge, you can see this would easily go around a curved blanket or a curved shawl. It also actually works out to be wider if you compare the 2 sides. The one with the 6 rows turned out wider. They look a little bit like a cable, but to me they look a little more like a cluster. So there you go, the cluster edge.